For example, I was still a student and a young architect. I was surprised. There was, for example, the kitchen design of the Bauhaus. Yes, but the housewives didn't like it. They wanted to their own way. And I thought that really one has to do that architecture should be more movable. For example, in my kind of architecture, I would, because you are a lot of people, I would simply make the place bigger. I cannot do it with these techniques, but there are techniques possible. So the Urbanism was starting with this, that all the volumes can be changed. That means all the walls and like furniture, you know, a chair I can move. And a skeleton is enough to keep the floors. And there is as well another question. You know, foundations. Foundations, that's a terrible thing, because it keeps longer than the building. With the World Trade Center, it was demolished in a few hours, but they were scratching out the foundations 5 years. You know, Berlin, the new Berlin plan was in many places conditioned by the old town planning, by the foundations. I was thinking at that time it was really a lost occasion, because Berlin could be an avant-garde capital. Simply there was the space, and there was. So this was what I was starting for against the foundation. So the building doesn't need to have a foundation, except every 60 meters, every 100 meters by staircase towers. There you have a Urbanism model. Yes, it doesn't show the structure, only that the disposition can be anything. But with the development of our civilization, I made another reserve, and I will talk now about the new part rather than the old. Okay, the new part starts with it, we build too much. It's absolutely the concreted surface on Earth. It's catastrophically too much. And so I was starting with an idea that building less, architecture without overbuilding. And I will give you this little booklet. This is for an exhibition, architecture without building. Practically architecture without building less. And so I was trying to look, if you want, a sort of inventory. The very large mass of buildings, for example, today are office towers. But what happens in office towers? There are some people who use the computer. They can do it at home. The building is not necessary. By the way, new companies very often started with that the employee works at home. There is internet. Another thing, when I was student, we learned people in cities need large forums as a meeting place, and markets are a meeting place. Yes, but things change. People have the phone in their pocket, and they fix their meetings wherever they want. The big meeting places are empty in most of the modern towns. And in the supermarket, there is nobody talking. People go in, buy what they want, and go on. There are many similar things. I was particularly attacking practically the problem of museums, very simply because museum people were ready to do it. That means it didn't stay on the paper, but I could do it in praxis. Okay, I start with a very simple statement. A museum needs exhibits. It's not a building. The building is not necessary. And I started this proposition that how to do non-buildings to present the exhibit of the people. The model behind you, this was for the Warsaw Museum. The idea was simply a skeleton which can be changed. It can be dismantled, disassembled, reassembled, and you put the exhibits in it. And people can see it in the street. I was doing another thing in Italy, a street museum, that there were simply showcases, large showcases, and heaped up in a way as the responsible curator wants it. And with the Warsaw Museum, this was why they were interested, because it could be reassembled for every exhibition. So in the meantime, I could do it as well in Italy and in Holland, and it will be done here in Paris before the Palais de Tokyo. It's there with the Musée d'Art Moderne de la Ville de Paris. And okay, they have the object, it should be assembled. Okay, this is Mr. Hergot, who are the competent person. The decision was done, so it was, I got the official information. So the idea is that do less buildings, do buildings that can be transformed, and there comes suddenly a new concept. I was presenting it the first time in Lausanne a few months ago. A very funny thing. Architecture can be improvised. Architecture, classical architecture, was absolutely very well thought and solidly realized, and improvisation was impossible. But with this kind, the improvisation is possible. For example, the building they were the non-building they were building up in Holland. Then they lent, not the exhibition, but the building to the city of Antwerp. And then, okay, to say it will go back to Holland after that. And I was making a similar thing for Lyon, okay? They were lending it for the city of Vogel for a few months. And so it is improvised architecture. I am not giving drawings, but instructions of assembly. You assemble the thing as you want. And in all the places where it was done, not in all, most of them, they were students of architecture, voluntary, who were doing the assembly. It's very simple, explain how you are doing this, and that's all. And the interesting thing, I can show you some images on the computer, that in every space it was different. The building was not the same. That means, taken from Holland to Antwerpen, it became something completely different. This is why I'm calling this improvisation in architecture. I have no influence on it. They did it in Mexico. I was not going to Mexico. They had the instructions on 2 pages, and they were doing it. It was done, and now this thing is added from Brazil to Sao Paulo. I got there a few days ago the facts. So this is perhaps a new field for architects. You know, if I am telling architecture is our building, I am not telling that the architect is useless. The architect gets a more creative task, not simply the bureaucratic way, but okay, perhaps the architect can be even an artist. And you know, I had a talk with, we met with Gary, and I was telling, it is in a way an absurd, what Gary did, very complicated structure by computers. Look, this structure, this is a space frame structure. We were doing it, it's improvised. You do it by the hand. This structure that you have behind you, I call it crumpled sheets, but we were doing in real scale. And it's, you cannot draw it. You cannot even do a drawing, because if you do a very exact drawing, you cannot read it. So it's, you can do it on the side, and that's the idea. You improvise on the side. The technical details are chosen that they are easy to satisfy. You don't need complicated apparatus. You do. There is an other thing. There behind you, the small model on the
chair.
Yeah, it's very idiotic, but it's containers. But containers, why should you heap them up like a city block? But you can do anything with it. If the container is conceived that way, that it's load-bearing. If you do this type of container, when it is fixed together, it becomes a space frame structure. You know, a space frame structure you do in a modular way. And a container is a module for a space frame structure. So that's the thing I am now propagating. And when I was telling that museums are interested in, because it's inexpensive. You know, when you can do a museum with about a technical investment of 20,000 to 25,000 euros, so it's interesting for them. you know, this kind of architecture in the same time needs less financial investment. The Warsaw Museum was interested because for this kind of thing they don't need a sponsor. They had a big project, it's white marble, anything you want, except they don't have the finances for it. But this kind of thing, it's easy. The same thing, this is what happened in Holland and this is what happened in Italy, evidently in Mexico. So it's easy, you know, for a large complex, 25,000 or even 30,000 euros, it's a ridiculous sum. And that's what I am looking about. You know, in the 80s, I was working with Jean-Philippe. I was building in India, and okay, building with bamboo. I got 2 big international prizes because the scrap. I'm sorry. Hello.
No, it's just.
Bonjour, Jean-Baptiste. Oui, on est avec nos amis berlinois. Oui. Bien, vous m'avez téléphoné. Oui. Oui. De qui? Je ne sais rien de ça. Oui. Bien. Vous regardez, lundi on regardera le papier. Merci beaucoup et lundi, maintenant je le fais. Oui. Bien. Alors, bon voyage et à lundi. Au revoir. Using the pocket phone only for calling because I don't hear well. You know. That's it. Yeah. So I was talking about the price, and there is now the idea of I don't know, it's under discussion by the Région Île-de-France, that in several communes of the region, they can do it. The idea was proposed not by me, from inside, in 9 different places to put up. Surely it's, there are, I don't know, the small expenses of a community. It's far more, it's 100 times more. So why not do it? You know, we did a showpiece here in the Paris region, in Château. And this thing is as well in real scale done in Château. So I'm sorry, it's poor old computer. It was very new 3 years ago. I bought in the States. It was the state-of-the-art computer. It came out exactly, and now I have to. Yes, you know, it's like a horse. It's slow. this was the first prototype. It was built in Basel.
I made a few weeks ago in Basel, and it is using, exemplifying in real scale the megastructure principle. But I wanted to present here megastructure in space chain, a technique that I used the first time in Tunis in 1959. That means the structure is not made with straight bars, but with rings. Now, the interesting is that this kind of structure doesn't follow a geometric grid conceived in advance, but with the rings I am making different polyhedrons, dodecahedron, tetrahedron, and cube, and put them together. Linking these different polyhedron has the interest that, for example, this is a cube. The circle represents a square.
No, it's okay.
It is here linked to a dodecahedron, where the circle represents a pentagon, and the same circle represents from one side a pentagon, and from the other side a square. That way, it is very easy to build very complex structures. And the second advantage, that you don't follow a premeditated pattern, but you improvise on the spot, and the scene can be transformed at any moment. So here you see the scenes of the montage, and you will see the object. And in my paper for this conference, I was telling the bad thing with contemporary architecture, that architects think that a bad sculpture makes good architecture. I am not believing this. And I am trying here, and this is as well the spatial idea.
When
this is without sound, but this is the project for the Musée d'Art Moderne.
Okay.
That means the place you know. The idea is to install it on the pools, which then it has no impact on the pedestrian traffic. It's simply the pools, and in the same time it is in the security idea, because they are always afraid that children will climb them, but not in the pool, because they don't get. So you see, they put in it whatever exhibit they want, in whatever way they want. So it is, every time it is used, the curator or the architect with whom the curator works makes an original and unique artwork. So they are photomontages. The structures are real, but the photomontage I have to show how to insert it. So this is space you know because you were there at Palais de Tokyo.
Not yet. We will.
Not
but
yet.
we will.
Okay, so that's the effective space and showing the structure and so on. It is an enormous variety you can do it.
And when you will build it, when do you plan to build it?
I'm sorry, I don't hear well.
When do you plan to build it?
The idea of Mr. Hergot was this summer.
December, yeah.
But I
hope
don't know, you know, now it's the administration.
Yeah, I hope so.
I am now outside of the project.
I hope not. It's just in the swimming pool between the two museums.
Okay.
Okay. So, for explaining the idea, I am using this kind of presentation, what I am calling a slideshow. I learned when I was teaching in the States, I was using always slides, series slides with comments.
Yeah.
And for this exhibition, we have about 400 images of all these examples I'm doing. And the idea, the exhibition travels by internet or simply as a DVD sent, and the museum decides what they want, how they want to do it. We did it in Lausanne and we did it in Mexico. It will be done with the MoMA, so you know it's trying to start, let us tell, other approach for architects. I am, you know, it's